What's up, sports bettors? I have three picks on Underdog Fantasy. Some are for tonight, some are for the NFL tomorrow. And I know I've already given out some plays, and what you're going to notice is we previously got Ryan Tannehill over 187.5 passing yards, right? That's what we had in our entry. If you remember the video, we were just ruthlessly comparing the lines on Underdog to those on the sports books, and we noticed a big discrepancy. A lot of people, were able to tail it, it appears like, just kind of like looking at Twitter. So glad to hear that. But anyways, if you go back to Underdog, what you're going to notice is Ryan Tannehill, his passing yards line is now at 213.5, right? So you're betting at over under 213.5. We got him over 187.5. So if he has 195 passing yards, my over is cashing. Everyone who bet it, 213.5, they'd be losing. So you have to be looking for value early in the week. Or you don't have to be, of course, but it's a great strategy for finding good plays. So as a recap, how does Underdog Fantasy work? It's pretty simple. Any three picks you select, you're going to see that you're betting one to win six. It doesn't matter if you take overs, unders. It doesn't matter what three picks you select. Any three picks, you're betting one to win six. Okay? So essentially, we've gone through the math a ton of times. And what this means is for a three-pick entry on Underdog, you prefer three picks to two picks, the implied odds are going to be better, right? So for a two-pick entry, the implied odds are minus 137. For a three-pick, they're minus 122, which is why you'll notice basically all of my plays are three-pick entries. So winning streaks, losing streaks, I ride with you guys. I say this all the time. It's not about winning every bet. It's about winning in the long run and being able to deal with variance. So long story short, you got to be ready for some downswings if you want the upswings. This is sports betting. And just because you have an edge, just because you have a coin that's 53% to show up on heads, it's not going to show up on heads every single time. There are going to be times it shows up tails 5 times in a row because tails is still 47% to occur. So anyways, the strategy when we're playing on Underdog Fantasy is pretty simple, right? You want to look for value at minus 122. The implied odds are minus 122. If you have questions about this, you can comment them below. But because the implied odds are minus 122, you can see I'm filtering for Underdog Fantasy. We want to look for value at minus 122. So you can see this play, Christian Kirk under 5.5 receptions. It's available on Prize Picks, and it's available on Underdog, right? And what you're going to notice is all of the sports books have this as like a 1.5 to 1 favorite, right? So that's roughly 60% to occur is what they're implying through their odds. So all of the sports books have Christian Kirk under 5.5 receptions heavily juiced. So we say this all the time, but sports books, they imply win probabilities through their odds. If sports books have the under heavily juiced, heavily favored, it's because the under is a lot more likely to occur, right? When the sports books are, juicing lines to minus 150, it's because the under is more likely to occur. When a player is minus 200, they're a 2-1 favorite to go under. If it were minus 300, it would be 3-1 favorite to go under, 75% to occur. So sportsbooks imply win probabilities through their odds, and essentially you have all these data points. You treat every sportsbook as an independent data point of where the line should be set, and you ruthlessly hunt for value. And it's pretty clear that being able to get this in your Prize Picks or Underdog entry, given how favored the sportsbooks, more efficient, sharper betting markets, how juiced they have the under, this is incredible value. You don't need a bet on every game on Underdog Fantasy. I say this all the time, but out of the tens of thousands of odds on the site, all OddsJam does is it consolidates all the odds or all the lines on Underdog, puts minus 122 and minus 137 to it. Minus 137 is a two-pick entry, minus 133, or minus 137 is a two-pick entry, minus 122 is a 3 or 5-pick entry. And then it lets you ruthlessly, compare the lines on Underdog to those on the sports books. So this is just the EV tool, the positive EV tool. And all it does is it takes all the lines from Underdog, no BS. It just shows you where the value is. It's very simple, right? So the next play you can see is Josh Giddey under 7.5 rebounds. This doesn't only apply, to betting on football, This applies to any sport. Here, the unders are heavily juiced once again. So we're just looking for 3 plays where the under or the over is heavily juiced because then we know it's a lot more likely to occur. And again, any sport you want to look at, we have the lines from Underdog. Feel free to browse odds, just like ruthlessly compare the lines on Underdog to those on Prize Picks and hunt for value. It's a really effective strategy to making money. So you can also use this screen. So I can show you another strategy I like to implement. We kind of went over this on Thanksgiving, but we can go back to it. Is if you go to player receptions or player rebounds in the NBA, what you can do, and here's one of the final picks I went with. So you can see slightly lower profit margin because I'm sorting by profit margin. This is a hockey play, but we have Jack Hughes over 3.5 shots on goal. Here, the over is heavily juiced, so the over is heavily favored, right? So these sports books, they're efficient betting markets. They take bets. It's supply and demand. So the fact that the lines are the way they are, right? These sportsbooks are sophisticated. They've invested hundreds of millions of dollars in their line setting capabilities. The way you beat sportsbooks isn't finger to the wind, watching highlights of sports and deciding Jack Hughes is going over 3.5 shots on goal, right? It's ruthlessly scanning through the market and looking for those few rare betting opportunities where Underdog Fantasy is slipping up. So I ended up hitting it 175 to win 1,050. Hopefully you guys are able to tail it. Let's make some money.